Good afternoon. My name is Brian Gromkowski. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Graduate Admissions here at William Paterson University. Want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us for our presentation. I'm joined here by Michael Yakubov, who is the Director of Graduate Business Programs here at William Paterson. He's going to be walking through a lot of information, so I will keep my opening remarks brief. But there are a lot of exciting things going on within the Kotsakos College of Business, and Michael is going to walk you through some of our new programs that are available here, walk you through a number of important trends that are happening within the business world, the value of a degree within business. We have MBA with a number of different offerings. We have a new certificate program, MBA Pathway Certificate. We have some new MS programs that he'll be talking about in just a little bit. So we're very excited about what's been going on within our business program, and Michael has had everything to do with that. So he is the lifeblood of this program. He is actively engaged, working very closely with students, both current students as well as prospective students. So there's no one better here to talk at length about all of the new developments that are happening within our College of Business. So without further ado, I will turn it over to him. If you have any questions as we go through, would just stress that you type them in the chat box there. Michael is going to take time at the end of our presentation to address your questions. And otherwise, I am going to kick it on over to Michael. So Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate the nice introduction. And also, thank you so much to taking the time out of your afternoon to kind of join us today and learn a little bit about the Kotsakos College of Business, our graduate program opportunities. I certainly know that webinars are a little weird in the sense that you can't see me, I can't see you, but I'm going to make the logical assumption that you are at the seat of your pants, very excited to learn about what I'm going to share with you. Certainly, I'm joking. I am very excited to have you join us. Appreciate the time that you're taking. And also, I'm open to answering any questions that you have, whether it's now or if they come up later on. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk you through our presentation today. The point of what I wanted to do is not just talk about our MBA program. Surely we're going to cover that. We're going to cover other areas of our graduate programs as well. But I thought that it may be more prudent and more resourceful to you as a prospective student who's looking at graduate opportunities to kind of walk you through what's happening in the marketplace, what schools are doing to adjust and kind of meet the demands of what the industry is asking, and how do we do that in a way that frameworks itself to the bigger picture. And so these are the 5 areas that I kind of hashed out, and what I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about. Building an academic program. What does that really mean? How do we mirror academia to the marketplace? As you may know, or you may not know, universities by and large are very slow moving operations to catch up to demands of technology and innovation and strategy and the changing demands of the global marketplace. But we've really done a great job here at the Kotsakos College of Business, and I'll share with you some of that methodology and what the approach and what's trending. I'll talk to you about what is trending on the bigger scale, as opposed to perhaps what's something that's going to last on a much longer period of time, such as things in innovation and technology. They're not going away, as opposed to maybe something like Bitcoin. We don't know where that's going to go. Is that something that's going to stay and grow, or become something that's more of a trend, as other trends have been? I'll also talk about what employers are looking for in graduate students. Obviously, we want to know that because we want to get hired. We want to move up in ranks in our professional goals and careers. I'm going to share some data with you that I think might enlighten you to perhaps considering the type of degree that you wish to pursue. And I'm going to try to relate it a little bit more to the US. Certainly we'll cover global regions, but also in the New Jersey marketplace. I don't know if you're aware, but if you're somebody who's considering the MS in Applied Business Analytics here, which is a program that's kicking off this fall, 20% of the data science marketplace is in the metro area. So that's really, appealing to employers. They need to hire professionals, and we want to make sure that we're producing them. And then finally, just talk to you about what is it that students are looking for. And I hope this will mirror some of what you're looking for in attaining their degree. So let's start. This is kind of the theme that I want you to kind of keep in mind as we go through the presentation. My goal is try not to make it boring for you and keep you excited and kind of share with you things that are relevant to you. But we have a number of programs. I'll be talking about our MBA program, our MS in Applied Business Analytics. I'll touch briefly on our new Masters of Science in Executive Sales Leadership. So those are the things that I want to cover with you. So The first piece, building an academic program that mirrors the metro and the global marketplace. What does that mean? Well, when we redesigned our MBA program in 2015, we really did think, what is it that we can do to help our students? We put everything under the microscope and took a look how we want to grow, how we want to attain a better quality student. How do we produce a good student? How do we engage students? And how do we meet your expectations as well, but also in developing new programs? So we looked at all these pieces. Is the curriculum flexible? What value does our accreditation hold? Who are our faculty who are going to be teaching these courses? What are their accolades and credentials, right? Are they just an academic who reads and does research? No. Can they adapt? Do they have experience in industry? What kind of networking career development pieces do we have for you outside of the classroom, right? Because most people joining business school aren't just looking at the basics of, is this a good curriculum for me? That's important. But a business school has a lot of other things that are attached to it, such as networking, career development. In many cases, the top end schools, those are the things that professionals, when they're looking at schools, look at. And so we've made great strides in expanding that area of our knowledge and exposure for our students. Our alumni engaged. We want to understand, do we have a good work-life balance for you? Can you successfully complete a program? And of course, emphasis on diversity, accessibility, real-time currency. Are we up and up with the trends and everything that our students need? So those are the things that I want to walk you through. So obviously, graduate education is a big game changer. You may or may not be aware that many community colleges these days are talking about offering beyond an associate's, a 3-year degree. So that means that students graduating from community colleges are going to only need one more year at a 4-year institution. So you can imagine those are some challenges for schools like ours and others. But I also see it as an advantage to be able to look at ourselves and say, where can we produce for our students on a greater scale? And that really comes down to one thing, graduate education. And so you will see across the landscape in New Jersey, there are 21 different universities that offer graduate degrees in varying types and delivery modes. And that's going to continue to grow. And I will show you some data on that in a minute. One of the things that really makes an excellent academic program in a business school and what students are looking for when they're kind of exploring what you should be considering is, does a school follow some kind of a approach to the way the curriculum is delivered? So when we redesigned our MBA program, for example, we embedded a theme-based learning approach. That means that every part and piece of our MBA program lends itself to the next course. There's something that overlaps, that students are learning every piece of the curriculum, focused on top-down management, on leadership and innovation strategy, and then focusing finally and closing out in your studies on career optimization at any level. So that's really an important buyer value, and our students have expressed that the theme-based learning approach and having that living curriculum has really played a big role in their decision to want to come to William Paterson. Faculty are engaged in the learning process. Dr. Laud in the image here is talking to a prospective class, kind of talking about what it takes to connect real-time learning from industry back into the classroom and vice versa, right? There's got to be that open dialogue. And so we want to make sure that our students have an understanding of what it takes. So one of the things we'll do is in our courses, you will have case studies. We want to make sure that you understand case studies that are relevant 25 years ago and those that we can apply 3 to 5 years ago that continue to come about all the time. Right now, the big discussion is about Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. Certainly, that's a big topic. That will be used as a case study at some point in understanding how there are ethical breakdowns, there are structural breakdowns, there are communication breakdowns, where technology is going. That's a really big piece. So we want to make sure that our students are exposed to those type of discussion points in the classroom that you wouldn't perhaps have in the workplace, right? Global perspective, right? Students looking at MBA programs, graduate programs, MS programs, they want to understand that our faculty can also teach from a global perspective. Why is that important? I live in New Jersey, New York marketplace. Why do I care what's happening in England, what's happening in France, or other parts of the world? Well, a lot of it is because socio-political factors have such an impact on the dynamics of business. If you look at what happened in England with Brexit, their stock started to plummet at some point. The stock market is very volatile. It goes up and down, and every day on the news you will hear, greatest gain ever, most depressing loss ever. Why does that happen? What are the influential factors? So our faculty actually come from 22 different countries by background and professional experience. So when you're learning in our classroom and the courses that you take, even if you're taking a course such as accounting or finance or a general management course, there will be a global perspective. All students also will take a global finance impact course, applying strategy and understanding the marketplace. So that's going to be a big piece for you in the global perspective, and kind of rounding that out and relating it back to how it makes sense here. And also, students looking at graduate programs want to make sure that you have opportunities to excel, to get access to things that perhaps otherwise you wouldn't. So we've had the great fortune here of building incredible contacts with our alumni through resources, having exclusive access. So I'll share a few. Last week, we took a trip to Google in New York City. We did a very private tour with them throughout their entire facility. Got to see what the work-life experience is like at Google. It was really an enlightening opportunity for our students to understand what it would take to work in an enterprise such as Google. A couple of years prior to that, for the second time through an alumni, we got an opportunity to go meet with Warren Buffett. That was an exciting experience for us as well. On the top left, you will see a picture of one of our students interacting with L.A. Reid, a music mogul. He's a music management student who got an opportunity to participate in a panel discussion with L.A. Reid here on campus. And of course, opportunity for our students to gain certificates and recognition for your accomplishments. So all those pieces kind of work themselves into what a quality graduate education is, particularly at a business school like ours. And I think that you will find that William Paterson University has been able to live up to much of that. But there's more, right? Outside of those exposure points, we want to have internally opportunities for you to grow. Remember, I mentioned in the beginning that one of the reasons people look at graduate education in the business school is for networking. So we wanted to make sure that we provide you a plethora of networking events. We have alumni events. We have an MBA networking event. We'll have others coming up. We have an accounting luncheon every year. We have an event called Coin, where for a whole week you will have executives coming in from all different industries coming in and talking to you about what they do and how to reach those particular goals. We have professional enrichment seminars that run all throughout each semester that at no cost to you. You could just show up and learn about a concept or an idea. We just did one on cryptocurrency, just to get an understanding for our students of what those things are in industry and what everyone's talking about. We also do mock interview training. We actually utilize our sales labs and facilities to be able to make sure that our students not only get out of here with a degree in business, but also have the social and quantitative and also soft skills to be able to win the job at the interview point, to have an excellent resume to produce to a prospective employer. We don't want you walking out the door without being exposed to those areas of knowledge. Okay, so on the right-hand side, just a list of a few of those initiatives. Okay, remember, if you have questions, type them in. We'll make sure we get an answer for you. Another thing that we want to make sure that our students have access to is resources in a bigger picture. What are we doing for you here in-house? So just to share with you, we have an on-site tutoring facility here dedicated specifically for business students. So we have classes that are covered, concepts, so you can be assured that you'll do well academically. We're building a center for graduate student learning here. We hope that will begin in May and be completed in August. I will know by the end of the week, by tomorrow or by early next week, if that will be a reality for us, and we're really confident that that will happen. We're also building a digital lab for our for our Master of Science in Applied Business Analytics. I want students to have access to resources such as Bloomberg, SQL, Python, our coding software, and then through the bigger picture on the main campus, Veteran Center, on-site career development. We have an on-site librarian here, which is really essential to doing research in your classes. Consulting services. We have the #1 ranked small business development center here at the Cotsakos College of Business. It's #1 ranked in the state of New Jersey, and we have the only student-led consulting team in the state of New Jersey here. So that's really a plus win for us. So those are things that you should be looking at. And then finally, it's really important, vital for students exploring graduate opportunities to understand that, when you come to a graduate environment and you're working, and you have that work-life balance, when you're here, this is an opportunity for us to be able to blend that theory and practice so you can translate what you learn right into the real world. We want you to be able to have collaborative learning, to learn from all different models, whether you're really a finance person, a technology person, or you're an entrepreneurship and human resource management professional. We want you to have cross-learning. And then, of course, this is a place to have open discussion, to ask things and talk about things that perhaps you wouldn't always talk about in the workplace. And it's an opportunity to kind of have that learning with your peers, with your faculty, and the professional staff that's here in this kind of what I would call a graduate research hub. Okay, so these are just the things. And as you explore graduate education in general, some of the things you should really be looking at are how actively engaged are the alumni, right? That's a really key indicator that the alumni had a great experience here. And once they became an alumni, are they giving back? Are graduates finding employment opportunities? I'm happy to say, based on what we've tracked in our data, within 6 months of graduation, about 90% of our students are finding gainful employment or getting promoted. Is the university expanding in its reputation? We have been. Our rankings have been going up every year. What access do we provide you? How relevant are our academic programs to the marketplace? Remember, I talked about what's trending versus what's here to stand the test of time. Is the curriculum making sense for you? Does it fit? And we'll talk about that in a second. And of course, do we have a way to provide you that balance to be able to go to work, take courses, be able to have the resources available for you to be successful? And I'm really happy to say that we've done a great job in most, if not all, of these areas, and we continue to have that continuous improvement discussion. One of the things we do is survey our students to get a good sense of what your perspective view is and how we're doing. And based on that, we use that as a big indicator how we can improve. Okay, so I'm going to take a sip of water, let you guys kind of sink that in a little bit. Remember, if you have questions, please feel free to type them in. We'll definitely get them answered for you. Okay, so what's trending and what's here to stay? And I thought the best way to kind of position this for you is to kind of tell you about the concentrations we have in our MBA program and why, and then also talk to you a little bit about the 2 other new programs that we have and how those can help position you to a better area of knowledge. You'll see the note here. We have 7 out of the top 10 in-demand programs. The 2 that are not here are because we have 2 unique concentration areas in our MBA program, and I'll mention those for you in just a moment. Okay, so Management Leadership Studies, or also referred to as General MBA. This is a concentration in our program that we mirrored to allow our students to have max flexibility. So students get to pick and choose which courses in business they wish to take, aside from the required courses. So you'll be able to choose any 5 courses relevant to your knowledge. So for example, let's say you have interest in entrepreneurship, human resources, and finance. You don't have to just sit and take all HR courses or all entrepreneurship courses. You could take 1 in each, 2 in each area, kind of get that really well-rounded view. So some students will gravitate to a Management Leadership Studies concentration, and that's a pretty popular option. But if you're really a little bit more geared towards wanting to earn your CPA, or you want to get into accounting and become CMA certified, or both, you may want to explore the accounting concentration. The accounting concentration we designed here to be a really good fit to getting our students ready for that CPA exam. But to go a step further, upon graduation, we've also contracted with a company called Gleam, which allows us to do in-house CPA prep for a fraction of the cost of what perhaps you would pay a Becker or a Princeton review. So our students will have in-house kind of advisement, training, post-graduation opportunity to learn and get really CPA geared up. So that's something I think that is really a nice thing to have, but it also really helps in our CPA graduation passing rates throughout the state of New Jersey. Really want to see William Paterson students pass that exam on the first try if we can. And so that's kind of the accounting program. Finance, if you're exploring finance, finance is very popular. Obviously, finance, accounting, and general management our top 3 concentration areas. Finance, the way our program is designed in the concentration area, and we mirrored it to the market, instead of just teaching you one area such as banking, we are touching on global markets, banking, personal investing, general economic management, portfolio management. How do you set a budget in place? How do you earmark certain type of finances? How do you build a strategic plan, a financial strategic plan? These are the areas that we're covering in our finance concentrations. And our students will have access to all the top software that is out there. So we have on-site bought the Bloomberg terminal software, which usually costs about $10,000 in industry for an employer to put you through that software. We have that here at no cost to our students. That is part of our Global Business Finance Institute, which is a training center. We have students come to us from China that fly in every year, and we train them as well. So it is one of the biggest and best trade floors in the Northeast. So we're really excited to have that as a feature of our Cotsakos College of Business. Okay, entrepreneurship. If you may have been following the news and you look at a lot of startup companies, most CEOs are no longer the big corporate CEOs with a degree just in finance or psychology. Many of them are startup professionals in an entrepreneurship background. Entrepreneurship has kind of changed roles drastically lately because it's not just about owning a small business. It is really about kind of vetting out your bigger picture. We do a really exciting Shark Tank competition here on campus. This year, our students are going to be representing William Paterson at Montclair State University for the UPitch New Jersey statewide competition. And we're really excited to send a student who won our in-house competition here to that. Our students in entrepreneurship are actually getting together. We're working on developing an incubator. Our students be able to work. I already mentioned the consulting opportunities that you have through a small business development center, and then complement that with the courses that you'll be taking that really kind of envelop your bigger picture knowledge. How do I get a product to the market? How do I price it out? How do I know to hire the right people? How do I build a foundational process where I can have a great checks and balances in my company? These are the things that we'll talk to you about. And how do I start my business? Where do I do that? How do I write a business plan? You'll learn these things in the classroom. You'll take courses like evidence-based management. You'll take courses on risk assessment. You'll take courses on marketing for entrepreneurs, digital marketing. So those are some of the areas covered in that. Okay. The Human Resource Management concentration launched here in the fall of 2017. It has been one of the concentration areas on the rise. HR continues to be a changing dynamic. It really used to be housed in the psychology world, but it really has been broadened out into the business world because HR professionals are no longer just tasked with managing the day-to-day operations and hiring people, restructuring. They're now setting the organizational pace. They're managing crisis. They're working with legal teams. They're understanding how the dynamics of the legal framework works. They're managing the big picture of our organization. They have a seat at the table when they used to not have that opportunity. So the HR management concentration really has redefined itself and how it appeals to the marketplace. I could tell you that we're getting a tremendous amount of applications for this area of concentration, and I see that rising more and more every year. Okay, if you're pursuing marketing and if you're interested in the marketing area, 2 things that you should be aware of. We know that marketing is very digitally focused now, right? The print marketing and advertising is still there, but it's really not that strong. So digital focused marketing is really where the marketplace has gone, and we've really curtailed and positioned our concentration area to meet that particular demanded industry. But also, you can't be a good marketing professional without having a good understanding of data research, understanding how to quantify that data, how to strategically apply that data. So we wanted to make sure that our students have access to that information as well. So we blended theory with practical application in marketing, entrepreneurship, and also in the data-driven decision models. So our students will be exposed to working with corporations and doing hands-on projects for them, such as building a marketing plan, helping them launch a product into industry. We've just been featured in NJ magazine for having collaboration with numerous organizations where our students worked on projects with these companies locally here in the New Jersey marketplace. Those projects actually ended up being featured on that company's website. So it's really exciting for our marketing concentration students. And of course, the last concentration in our MBA program is in music management. So this is a very, very dynamic program. It is also unique. It won't show up on any list of the top 10 in-demand programs, but we just made some drastic changes to this area. It's not just music management anymore. It is now music and entertainment management, because the courses, the way they're delivered, geared to a much greater volume of entertainment industry and music. So it is the only program that attracts students by and large from all over the world. It also is a program that gives our students exposure to industry right in the hub of New York City. We have students that work at Sony Entertainment, RCA, students that work at Warner Music Group, NBC, Panasonic. As a result, our graduates are getting these opportunities because they have specific distinction of this music and entertainment management concentration. In addition to that, you have an internship requirement in this concentration. You'll also be taking a trip to Nashville, Tennessee to go to the huge Music Biz Expo. So these are really exciting value points. And Dr. Marcone in the music management division will work with myself and yourself to kind of develop that framework for your success in that industry, because it is very difficult to break into, and we know that. And so our connections and our reputation has really been that guiding light to getting our students hired in that marketplace. Okay. So now, to mention a newer program, the Master of Science in Applied Business Analytics. We just launched this. So if you're not MBA minded, but you want to go for an advanced business degree, the MS in Applied Analytics perhaps is an area for your consideration. It is a 30-credit, 15-month program taught in a cohort format. That means all students will take classes together throughout the period of that program, whether it's on a full-time track or a part-time track. It is different from MBA, which is not cohort-based, and there's reasons for that. But the analytics program is really meeting the demands of the marketplace. As I mentioned to you, 20% of the analytical market is here in the metro area, but data and technology continues to expand through cloud computing, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data mining, coding, program development. All of these pieces really play a vital role in how technology and people make decisions. And so data scientists are going to be the movers and shakers. One of the really neat things that we did in designing this particular program is that we wanted to make sure that it has an application of soft skills, technology innovation, and strategic decision making, because we didn't want it to just be a numbers-driven program. We wanted to make sure that it's applied. And so you can apply those skills to industry, and the software you'll be utilizing will be that you'll be using when you go out into the marketplace. Okay? So third part of our presentation is employer expectation of graduate students. What do people look for when they're hiring you? Remember, there are two different subsets of marketing people hiring professionals. There are those individuals who are marketing the jobs that are available out there, and there's also the people that will be interviewing you. And it's hard to tell who's who, but they all have general expectation of graduate degree holders that are vastly different from that of holders who have a BA or a BS degree. So I'll mention that in a second. There are also general expectations that an employer is going to have of a degree holder with a master's degree in business as opposed to somebody that doesn't. And a lot of that has to do with bottom line, right? They don't want to have to retrain people. They want to have you come in with certain skills and abilities. Okay, so let's talk about that. So what are the major differences between a bachelor's degree and an MBA or a master's of science? So remember, think back to when you were going through your bachelor's degree. A lot of it was theoretical learning. You're learning different concepts and trying to understand them. The delivery and the way the courses are taught is all about kind of just discussion points and interpretation of what your viewpoint about a certain particular issue. And the delivery is really just about learning the bigger picture. It's a combination of everything. But at the MBA level, it's different, or at the MS level, it's different, right? It's a lot more hands-on. It's a lot more streamlined. You have your degree focus, you have a particular area of concentration, but you'll also be working with particular teams that have like-minded interests. And that goes back to the networking, the team engagement concept and the strategy concept. And of course, you're a lot more keen on understanding what you want to do. I'll give you an example. We have a course called Integrated Learning Experience. It is one of the last courses you will take in your MBA study. It is a capstone course. And it basically brings together all of your knowledge in business, both theory and practical application. And you're given a project, whether it's one in your workplace or an industry that you identify as a market need. And you will do very comprehensive research, and you will line up what the marketing need of that company is, what the accounting need, what the financial need, what the HR needs are, what are the challenges. You'll do data-driven analysis. You'll do a regression study. You'll try to do a survey. We really want to expose you to what it would take to do a full in-house project working with an external entity to allow you to be able to take those skills and translate them, and perhaps even share out there kind of like a PhD dissertation to a prospective employer. So that's really one of the bigger factors. But employers really look and focus in on 4 particular areas of knowledge. When they hire professionals with a graduate degree as opposed to business undergraduate degree, what are they looking for? There's this general expectation that you know what you're talking about, and they want to know that you understand what their marketplace is. They want to know that you understand the concepts in their industry study. So there's no surprises, right? They want you to at least know a little bit about what they do in finance or in marketing or in accounting. The second part is they don't just want you to know a little bit about it. They want you to understand how you can apply strategy and skill to solving those decisions. So if your manager comes to you and says, look, I have all this data that I just got from our data folks, our data scientists out there, how do you quantify that? You know, if you don't have an understanding of data at all, or you don't know what you're looking at, the decisions that you may make may not have the same outcomes. And that's really risky, right? You want to keep your job. You want to make sure that you can analyze, you can make the determination of what kind of outcomes need to be put forth. So that's one of the things they want you to do. They want you to have that problem-solving ability. The third is teamwork and collaboration. And teamwork isn't just being able to work across departments, but it's being across disciplines. I'll give you a pretty cool example. I know somebody that works for a global pharmaceutical company, and this individual is a project manager, and he's got a master's degree, an MS in analytics. And what he does is they have this huge workspace room. They went to IKEA and they bought all this cool furniture, but the most important 2 pieces is a computer and a giant multi-purpose whiteboard. And what they do is they put sequential ideas of process, of how they develop systems and technology, and how these things are going to go through. And at the end of the day, they hit a button, and when they go to bed, their team in India actually picks up that same exact board and they work through that. So for 24 hours in a day, every single day, there's 2 different teams working on the exact same initiative in 2 different formats. And that's teamwork, global teamwork, right? Can you win an argument? Can you propose a strategy or a view to a prospective employer or to clients that you may be generating? Those are the things that we want to make sure that our students are coming out with, because that's what employers are telling us is crucial. And then finally, as I mentioned to you, the data decision making, but in the bigger sense, not just strategy problem solving, which is I know what I need to do. It's actually the application of that knowledge and thinking through it and what implications it may have on your peers, on your clientele, on the market, understanding how a product may impact certain outcomes. So these are the things that actually employers identified to us through a survey that we did in-house here, and also one that we looked at in allbusinessschools.com. You can take a look at that as well. All right. So we also know that today, a graduate degree is almost a must. Not everyone pursues it. Only about 9% of the marketplace actually has a graduate business degree. But it is kind of the new standard in hiring. And I will show you an example a little bit later on of what you want to see. And I think it'll make a little bit better sense. But some of the things that you should be expecting in a graduate degree. It gives you equal to about 2 years of work experience. It is certainly a path to career progression. In many cases, it is an entry point to going beyond the ladder. Think about this. If you have a bachelor's degree and you apply for a job and you are given a job at $40,000 at an entry level, in about 15 to 20 years, if you stayed in that job, you'll probably reach about $65,000 a year. But if you followed a different path and you had a master's degree and you elevated to an opportunity where you started perhaps at 60, now you've elevated yourself to about $80,000 to $90,000 a year in about 10 to 15 years. So it's just a perspective point. It kind of gives you that extra jump, that extra boost, and that launch to have greater negotiating power and also greater shift power. Okay, it teaches you the skills to be able to manage both people and process, and that's really important. And again, it's about training and cost of training. What's the return on investment to a prospective employer? They would rather hire one person to do multiple tasks than 3 to 4 people to do, each individual task. Okay, and they want to see leadership skills. So those are the things that I think really is the differentiating factor in a graduate degree. All right, so let's talk some data. Let's talk about how numbers play a role. So you don't have to just hear it from me, but you'll actually see what's out there and what the market is showing you. Let me just give you a few things here. By and large, the MBA degree, particularly in our metro area here, has almost a $30,000 swing in salary for employers. So, excuse me. And looking at different areas, that number varies. It could be even significantly more, from entry level to almost max out. If you want to look at what's happening in the marketing arena, marketing is so competitive, but with the right skills, you can actually differentiate up to $40,000 to $50,000 in your salary just by finding the right opportunity and having the right skills. Okay, so just taking a look here, what is on an average an entry point starting level in the U.S.? So about $58,000 if you don't have a master's degree in business or an MBA perhaps. The median average is about 140, but the average overall is about 115,000. So that's pretty good salary for somebody to be able to raise a family and have a good work-life balance, right? So we want to make sure that you kind of put that into perspective. The one area I will mention, which I think is really crucial, and we don't all think about this right away, is that it's not just about the salary that we earn. It's about, many companies will contribute to your pension. You know that having a master's degree and getting that elevated salary over a period of time of your career equates to about $1.5 million over time, more than you would have had if you didn't follow that track of getting a graduate degree. So, that's something to really consider. Our MBA program here is anywhere between $23,000 and $35,000 at the sticker price. Everyone's a little bit different depending on waivers, and I'll mention that. But our program in particular is interesting in the sense that that's a very small investment for a highly accredited program compared to your industry outcome. And that's something that our dean has stressed quite a bit about your ROI and your return on your investment. So another graph for you to look at, kind of the hiring expectations and the salary rising. They continue to rise. So as the economic market improves, the salary expectations for qualified professionals continue to go up, right? We don't have 2018 data yet. I got this from the GMAC, who are the foremost body on graduate education in business. But I found that to be very, very enlightening. And of course, startups continue to pop up everywhere. If you actually looked at recently, yesterday, there was a major company that funded every single GoFundMe account on GoFundMe's page. That's $27 million. A lot of entrepreneurship startup programs. So now these companies will start to hire as well. So that's really interesting to see. So when you're looking for jobs, don't just look for those big companies. There's a lot of smaller companies out there as well. Okay. Salaries are going to continue to rise. Those individuals who are MBA holders, there's almost this general expectation that you should be at 100K or higher over a certain period of time. Other business disciplines as well, they cover that span of knowledge. The Master in Data Analytics, showing about 86,000, that demand is going to rise significantly over the next 5 years. Okay. Remember, I mentioned to you we designed our MS in Analytics program to have the ability to integrate soft skill learning, just like our MBA program, because that is going to be one of the key ways that you generate clientele. You can work in those team environments. So I wanted to make sure that you have something to look at here. And then the last two kind of snapshots here, just kind of showing you companies that are going to continue to hire. In the United States, 2017, there was a projected growth in hiring in MBAs. That stayed true. It's going to continue to climb. MBA holders are going to be the highest paid over a certain period of time. But in 2009, if you may recall, we had a recession. MBA holders or graduate degree holders of business were actually the highest rebound to be rehired back into the marketplace within their discipline. And there's something to be said about that. Okay. And the last one, just kind of showing you what kind of jobs are on the rise. Marketing, business development, and finance are going to continue to dominate because a lot of it is data-driven, right? Numbers-driven, data-driven. So that's something really important. So you should have at least some inclination of what you want to do in your potential career, but also understand that these are 3 areas that may want to keen in on a little bit more stringently. Okay. So if you're an international student, I wanted to make sure that you're also included in the dialogue here. You know, employers in the U.S. are willing to hire international students and sponsor you if you have the right skills, because we don't have the ability to saturate the market. There's so many jobs, there's so much technology out there. Having the right skills will lead you to employment opportunities. And if you're qualified, they will pay for you to have an H-1, which is a work visa. Okay. A little bit more on the analytics piece. Kind of interesting, right? In 2007, there were not many programs out there, but now by 2017, you could see just about everyone is building out data analysis and data-minded graduate degrees, because that's really the next frontier. So we really encourage our students to explore this as an option for themselves. If you have that kind of orientation to technology and data analytics, data mining, conceptualization of resources, and kind of being strategic in that aspect. Okay. So just about rounding out, these are the MBA areas on the rise. You know, HR continues to grow, general management, sales. We just all opened the new Executive Master of Science in Sales Leadership. Sales is not just about B2B or customer-to-customer relations. It is about managing teams, global sales, pharmaceutical sales. All those areas are on the rise. Finance, and then technology, of course. Okay. So the last 5 things I wanted to share with you is really, why are people pursuing graduate degrees? What is it that's kind of closing the loop for everybody to say, okay, I'm ready to go for a grad degree. How do I do that? And the first is really advanced earning power. We all want to earn more money, right? We talked about how that plays a role in your return on your investment, in your retirement, in the salary growth. You know, really allows you to be able to advance yourself professionally over a period of time, not just in a small snapshot. So earning power, right? We want to make sure that you can save more. You can lower your debt. You don't pass that on to your kids as well. You know, an overall professional advancement. You can have the ability to live the life that you want, and a graduate degree really helps elevate that opportunity. Okay. Changing in life circumstances. How many of you may have run into this in the workplace, right? You could do the job better than what you think maybe your boss can do, but because they have a particular degree, you really kind of hit that glass ceiling. You can't move up beyond them. So, you know, motivation in that sense kind of makes you wanted to earn a graduate degree. It's also a personal goal. You know, sought a new employment opportunity. 27%, you know, wanted to compete and get other jobs. If you're looking at jobs in the marketplace on Indeed or ZipRecruiter, wherever you're looking on LinkedIn, say, look, I really think I could do this, but perhaps your qualifications don't match up to the job description. So that's a motivational factor for you. And of course, personal gain. You want it to do it for yourself. The third is about career advancement. Many of us, including me, think in many ways in a very short-term window. What am I going to be doing next year? How can I get promoted? But the long term is most of us will have 6 to 7 different career tracks in our lifetime. And so what we really want to make sure is that we set ourselves up now in the beginning before life gets too complicated to be able to advance in a career. And so we want to make sure that we're learning and we're able to take in that knowledge, but also get a credential for it, right? And then understand who's looking at our resume, right? The millennials are going to dominate the marketplace, and already do by and large. So we have to adapt and mold our skills and abilities to have impact, to be able to have greater outcomes, and then also have that equal the compensation that we're receiving. All right, and the last two, that's me, by the way. If we haven't met, I'm on the left-hand side there. And I look forward to meeting you if we do have an opportunity to connect. But also, changing marketplace demands. Technology, as I mentioned, is growing. The demand for new, innovative, creative concepts is growing. Proprietary knowledge is growing. The selling off of information is growing. Companies like Facebook, Amazon, Google, a lot of the big name tech companies that we know, they're not in the business of providing a service. They're in the business of generating data and information. So we want to know that we can compete in that marketplace. And that's a big factor for many people, because at the graduate level here, the way we've designed our programs is to mirror and meet the demand of industry. Okay. And then finally, personal development, right? We all want to grow. We want to professionally enhance our ability to be successful in our career. How do we do that? How do we have a greater impact on society? Maybe you don't want your wealth and knowledge and your financial gain to come from your employment. You want to make investments. How do you do that? And professional development will allow you to kind of have that ambition to want to be successful and perhaps do more things with your money, have your money work for you. And these are some of the things that we'll have discussions about here. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Thank you for sticking through with us so far during this webinar. But look, if you type in just a bachelor's degree in business versus a master's degree perhaps in an MBA, there's a huge differentiation in the type of jobs by title, right? And many times, if you look at the bottom right, Samsung, it says MBA preferred. Well, you should know that you're probably competing with every single person applying for that job who has an MBA. So it's not preferred, it's just about required. And so a graduate degree automatically gives you brand equity. You get to go right into a higher bracket financially, a higher title financially. It'll give you greater shift opportunity. So it's something to really keep in the back of your mind. I'm going to share with you a little bit really quickly where our students are, because my voice is going on me and you can hear that probably. But we have students working at KPMG, at Hilti, at Deloitte. Those are the big accounting firms, right? But we have students working in the banking industry, Valley National Bank, Bank of America, pharmaceutical industry like Becton Dickinson, in the oil industry and BP. We've been extremely successful in helping our students find employment opportunities at companies that are large, that have greater employees that they want to take on, and they have options, and they really are selecting William Paterson University students to be competitive, and they value their knowledge. So we're excited to be able to do that. This is probably a short list, and definitely is a short list of the type of companies our students work at. But I want to encourage you to kind of look around and say, hey, what will a graduate degree do for me? Okay. So the last two things I want to share with you a little bit about the structure of the MBA program. Number one is you saw that we have a concentration in general leadership management, general management, concentration in accounting, entrepreneurship, finance, marketing, music and entertainment management, and HR, right? The structure of those programs is threefold. There's an 18-credit lower core that everybody takes, right? If you are a student coming into the Pathway program, which is a program that I designed as a concentration certificate, it allows you to take 6 classes, a total of 18 foundational graduate level credits, 6 courses, 18 credits. You do that in a span of 1 year. While doing those courses, as long as you maintain a B or better in those, we will then take that GPA and those credits and count them towards the remainder of your MBA program. There's no GMAT or GRE requirement for that portion. That's for the pathway track. And I hope it didn't confuse you, but I'm open to answering any questions. The upper core of our program is 15 credits, and then your concentration area is 15. So if you look at the MBA program in general, it's 3 tiers: lower core, upper core, and then concentration area, right? Total of 16 classes or 48 credits. But if you were a business major at your undergraduate level and you did academically well, we will look at any of those foundational courses such as finance, marketing, management. If you did well in those classes, that includes statistics, economics, and accounting, we will credit you those towards your MBA degree. So if you had a B or better in those areas, all you have to do is do the upper core and the content core, which is the concentration area. So a total of 30 credits. So for every student is different. That's why I said that the cost of the program is anywhere from 22 to 23 to about 35K. Everyone will be on a different wavelength, and that's something we can have a discussion point about, okay? And then, of course, I should mention that we are the most affordable MBA program in the state of New Jersey. We're excited about that, to be able to offer a high-quality degree that's accredited, and also it allows our students to be able to compete in the marketplace without taking too much debt. And on an average, it's about $700 a credit at this time. If you're an international student, it is a little bit more. We do offer graduate housing. We have a number of different ways that we can connect. So what happens now? Firstly, again, I thank you for joining us, and feel free to ask any questions if you have them, and if not, that's okay. We can connect later on, but I'll be reaching out to you. I hope you can reach out to me. This is my contact information. I would love the opportunity to sit down with you, talk a little bit about the things I shared today, go in much more detail about our program, and kind of just give you a really nice overview of what it takes to attain a graduate degree. We want to take on students that we know are going to finish, right? We have a 98% graduation rate. We have a 94% retention rate in our program. Our faculty are engaged with our students. So there's a lot of really positive things to hang your hat on here. We're excited to kind of be that university that is willing to be transcendent to the marketplace. So that will actually conclude my presentation. I really appreciate everyone participating. If I'm losing my voice, might be a good thing. That means I got you all the information that you wanted to know, and I will turn it over to Brian.
Thank you very much, Michael. And as we mentioned earlier, for those of you that jumped in towards the beginning of our presentation, if you do have any questions for Michael that you'd like him to address, feel free to type them in the chat box there, and we will read them off to Michael as we go through, or one of us will answer them directly for you. But we did have a couple come in as you were going through, Michael, and you touched upon some elements of a few of them, but just we'll read off the ones that still have to be addressed at this point. Could you talk a little bit for someone who is already a student here at William Paterson on the undergraduate level, and they're a senior? Can you talk a little bit about somebody who was perhaps, for example, an accounting major here and is looking to go into a different concentration on the MBA level, like marketing, in terms of courses, any challenges of making a switch from something you might have pursued on the undergraduate level to a different concentration on the MBA level?
That's a great question, Brian. We've actually, when we redesigned our MBA program in 2015, we purposely designed it in a way that you can come from any discipline. We have students here who come from education, from psychology, from arts. We have students that come to us from, the technology field, of course, the business industry, and a whole host of other areas of specialization that are not related to business. And when we redesigned the program, the way we built it is to make sure that everyone starts on the same wavelength. So instead of having to take a bunch of prerequisite courses prior to getting into the MBA program, we allow you to come into the program, catch up with everyone on the same pace, and we're not throwing you to the wolves. So it's actually encouraged that if you have a bachelor's degree in a particular area like accounting, or if your bachelor's degree is in finance, to do something different at the graduate level, differentiate yourself to that marketplace, to your employer, to show them They have multiple areas of skill and ability. And I think that has been crucial in having really great success for our students to go out there and they interview and they say, look, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I have an MBA with a focus in human resource management. I've also, participated in a number of different forums and events and networking initiatives. I've got to take a trip here. I worked on a collaborative project with a corporation. And, we've worked with faculty to possibly publish some research. Those things are really appealing. That really makes a case. It makes it stand out. So I will continuously, our team here will continuously push to have our students to go above and beyond. We have a very high number of MBA students in our program because the program is in demand. The analytics program is going to gain tremendous amount of steam, and that sales program is really going to also cultivate a very customer-centric audience. So, all arrows are pointing up. I don't want anyone to be discouraged that, perhaps you don't have a particular background or discipline in an academic area of business, that you may be at a disadvantage. On the contrary, we've built the program to suit that need for you as well.
Thank you very much. And I know you touched upon it a bit, but there was some specific interest in the pathway certificate program and the requirements for somebody who might be coming into an MBA type program without having that background in business on the undergrad level. So could you talk a little bit about perhaps some advice for somebody who doesn't have that business background but wants to work towards their MBA?
Sure. I'm going to address both. So for the MBA program itself, the traditional MBA with a concentration area, what the expectation is that a student may have a minimum of a 3.0 GPA and hopefully above a 3.2. Our average is about a 3.4 for applicants. If you have above a 3.2 GPA and you apply to our MBA program, we will consider the waiver of your GMAT or GRE requirement. If you have below a 3.2 and you want to take the test or you want to make a case for why we should waive your GMAT requirement, we certainly will have that discussion. Now, if you are a pathway track applicant, why was the certificate track designed? Well, first of all, it was designed as a certificate so students can take on financial aid if they needed to. The other part of it is the pathway track is designed for those individuals that are working professionals that are far enough removed from their undergrad study that it's no longer a true indication of their professional abilities, right? Life circumstances happen. An example, I came into school and bombed my freshman year. And unfortunately, although I did exceptionally great in all the other courses beyond my freshman year, it's almost impossible to rebound to a GPA that's going to be looked at business school and say, okay, this is a seamless admission. So what we rather put our emphasis and energy on is looking to see what progress you've made, both academically, beyond a tough semester you've had, or what you've achieved in your career goals beyond school. And we use that as a greater measure for your ability. And this is a certificate that's kind of a prove-it certificate. You come in, you take 6 foundational graduate level business courses mixed in with graduate business students. As long as you succeed in them, and I should tell you that in our first semester of doing this, at 31 students with an average GPA of 3.46, coming in, succeeding in those courses, completing them within a 1-year track, and then seamlessly making the transition to the MBA this coming fall 2018. So that's the biggest difference between the two. Hopefully that was clear enough, and if not, I'm open to elaborating individually.
Sure. Another question that came through: how does your program address career changers versus career promoters?
That's a great question. So, there's a couple of pieces to this. Again, to go to what our thought process was when we redesigned the MBA program, we understood that there's this dichotomy of thought, whether we teach you to give you knowledge or do we teach you to develop you for a career progression. And so we wanted to blend both. So as I mentioned, we have great emphasis on career development and progression for our students outside of the classroom. We talk about concepts and case studies and strategies and decision making and ethics within the classroom. But outside of the classroom, it's about networking. It's about external opportunities, resume writing, mock interview training, getting access and getting our students in front of professionals that are in industry already at the high level, the C-suite executives, the leadership speaker forum, the trips that we've taken. And those are the things that we're really focused on to help develop your total you for you to be really successful in business. And so, it's almost has become very much a personal commitment to us to make sure that our students are engaged. But we ask you to be an active participant in your own career growth, right? So if you're looking to change careers and you feel like a graduate degree is going to be the vehicle to help you do that, it certainly can. But you need to also be part of that process. Our job isn't just to carry people, but really to get you engaged and get you the resources to be successful. And by and large, that has worked extremely well. I'll give you one quick example. One of the things that we really pride ourselves here is that we've had alumni that come back quite often and say, I'm looking to hire this type of position for this type of position or role. Do you know of anybody? And many times I will send it to everybody, or I will pick out individuals that fit particularly to that role, but may have different skill set areas. And those are the individuals that actually end up being extremely successful in those roles because they bring a different dynamic. So we will work with you to help develop your career progression. You'll be an active partner in that process. But in doing that, we want to make sure that we offer you the resources to be successful in a variety of ways.
And then a current or a WP alumni wants to know if you could give a sense of the general turnaround time between when a graduate application for the program might be submitted and when they might expect to receive an acceptance.
So I'm kind of proud to say this. According to a recent university review audit, we at the College of Business actually have the fastest turnaround time in graduate decision. I say this at every open house. My job is not to be an obstacle for our students. It is to be the vehicle of opportunity. And so we try to give you a decision as quickly as possible. Once you have successfully completed all of your credentialed information that you need to provide to us for application review, we have a 1-day turnaround time. So once it's in and admissions notifies us that an application is ready for review, we will look at it right away and we'll have a decision to you within a day and most likely provide you a phone call, an outreach, and an email will follow so we can coordinate in the next steps.
And is there any coursework or anything within the curriculum that has focus on the subject of taxation?
Yes. One of the pillars of the CPA requirement is taxation. So we cover areas of taxation, auditing, financial accounting, reporting 1 and 2, strategic decision making, legal compliance and ethics, and accounting. Those are the key areas of the CPA and the CMA exam. So we really focus a lot of energy and effort into that area.
And aside for that, there were 2 questions that were very specific about coursework and requirements for specific programs that we offer here. And for those individuals, I would encourage you to reach out to Michael. He'd be more than happy to either set up a time to meet, to speak over the phone, to communicate back and forth through email. And certainly he would be able to provide you with the best guidance on your unique circumstances. So I won't necessarily read off those questions here, but just wanted to make sure that we saw those questions. And I would encourage you to get in touch with Michael. But that being said, I believe that's it for questions as of right now. Michael, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to join us. For everybody who attended throughout the course of our presentation, we hope that this was helpful. Obviously, Michael gave a lot of wonderful information, and I can't stress enough, as you may have gathered, he is someone who is very enthusiastic, is very good about following up, very good about communication. So I can't stress enough, if you are considering any of our programs within our Coatzacoalcos College of Business, please reach out to him, set up a time to speak. He will be able to walk you through the process and ensure that your application goes through as quickly as possible. You get the decision as soon as possible, and hopefully you are able to start classes as soon as possible. And I'll do one last quick plug. I would stress that we do have courses as soon as our summer session, which begins in May. I know it's very commonplace to think about fall or spring as a potential start time, but it would still be feasible to get an application in, register for courses, and take them as soon as the summer session. So wanted to make sure that was tossed out there as well. But Michael, anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, I just want to thank everybody. Certainly, I didn't want to just expose you today to just talking about our MBA program. We certainly did that in our MS and Analytics program and other programs. But, I wanted to make sure that we provide you kind of this avenue for taking a look at the bigger picture about pursuing a graduate degree, what implication it has for your success. How can we be that tool that you utilize to your success and really be part of that reputation tree that we've developed here. And so I hope you join us. We will have other opportunities to connect on other themes during webinar events and open house events, and certainly am able to and willing to meet with anybody face to face. And if you can't be here, we can do a Skype call, a phone call, just as easy enough to kind of talk about it. But I want to thank everyone again for taking the time to listen to me and participating in today's webinar.
Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend.
Yep, happy holidays.